Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're going to be talking about some foundations that I have really been loving lately. None of these are brand new, but these are all the foundations I found myself loving and reaching for the most lately. And I will also be mentioning for you guys a couple of foundation combinations that I've really been enjoying. Before we jump in, I want to welcome those of you that are new to my channel. I hope that you will subscribe if you haven't done that yet. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up if you like it and hit that notification bell if you want to be notified anytime I upload a new video. Now let's go ahead and jump right in. Alright guys, so I have here in front of me the 6 foundations that I've just been really enjoying. I'm sure if you've been watching me for a while, you have heard about these before, but I've rediscovered a couple of techniques or ways to apply these that have just been really working for me lately. So let's start out with what I am wearing on my skin today. And that would be this right here, the Misha BB Cream, along with one of my favorite foundations to mix in, which is the L'Oreal Infallible Foundation. I want to quickly start by talking about this one. I do like this foundation on its own. If you are looking for a foundation that will not budge under a mask from the drugstore, this is the one I would recommend. This is the foundation I love mixing into almost any other foundation, including pretty much every single one that I'll be mentioning today. If I need that foundation to last a little bit longer and be a little bit more transfer resistant, this is what I will mix in. So this combination right here, I have the L'Oreal Infallible. This one is in the shade 425 Linen, and then I have the Misha BB Cream in the shade 27. I actually have 3 shades of the Misha BB Cream. I find the undertone of number 27 to work the best for me, but it is a little bit too dark for me other than when I am at my very tannest in the middle of the summer. But this combination color-wise works great for me. I love the finish of these two foundations together. The Misha BB Cream is a little bit less high coverage. It's a little bit more creamy, a little more moisturizing, whereas this one is a little bit more of a satin skin-like finish. But these two combined give me a great finish, really good wear time. I would say pretty good transfer resistance. It's not going to be perfectly transfer proof like this would be on its own, but it definitely helps. And the way that I like to apply these is actually with a brush. I have rediscovered in the last 2 or 3 weeks how much I sometimes enjoy using a brush. I tend to go through phases when it comes to my foundation applications. There will be a good long stretch where I just like a sponge, a good long stretch where I just like a brush, and then a stretch where I feel like my hands work the best. I feel like this pattern has been going on for the last several years. Up until recently, I've been in very much a sponge mode, but I feel like I'm starting to re-fall in love with a really good foundation brush. This one right here is the Luxie Round Top Blender. Perfect foundation brush, really nice and dense. I love the way that it works with these two foundations right here. Super quick and easy to apply them. I don't get any sort of streaking or anything, and I just love this finish. I think it works great. Great coverage, good finish, and really long wear time. The next one I want to mention is a newer foundation to me that I have continued to love, and it is the Estee Lauder Futurist Hydra Rescue, name goes on, foundation. I really, really love this stuff. It is very liquidy. It's not quite as creamy as the Misha BB Cream, but I do really love this stuff. I haven't yet tried mixing these two together. I feel like this one has pretty good wear time and decent transfer resistance, but I wouldn't say it's completely transfer proof. I just love how natural this looks on my skin. It's very much a skin-like finish. It looks like skin on your skin, which I think is what we're all looking for in a foundation, right? I have mine in the shade 2W1, which seems to be a really good shade match for me. I mentioned this in a recent favorites video, and I believe in that video I mentioned that I prefer applying this with my hands or my fingers. I still feel that way. I have tried using it with a brush and a sponge. I feel like the sponge soaks up too much of this product because it is so thin and liquidy. I just feel like I have to use like 2 full pumps of this when I am using a sponge, whereas if I'm using my fingers or even if I'm using a brush, I don't have to use quite as much product. This does have a pretty strong scent, and I feel like I should also mention that with the Misha BB Cream. It does have a strong perfume-like scent to it. So if you are not into scents, I do have some other options for you guys that we'll get into in a sec. For those of you that have oily skin, if you've tried this one, please let me know how it works for you. I forgot to mention this in the beginning of the video, but I do have quite dry skin. I'm also nearing 40, so I wouldn't say I have mature skin, but I definitely don't have the young skin that I had when I was 25 or 30. Hopefully that gives you guys a bit of a frame of reference as I'm talking about these foundations. The next 2 foundations that I've really been enjoying are actually a combination. Is these two right here, the Wet n Wild Stick Foundation and the L'Oreal Infallible Stick Foundation. The biggest reason I like using these two together is because this one I find to be a tiny bit too dark for me and this one a little bit too light. So I actually like putting kind of a stripe of this one just right here, here, and down the center, a little bit on my chin, basically the center of my face, and then just doing a C shape with this one, and then I'll go in with my foundation brush, blend it in, and it is one of the fastest foundation applications ever. Formula-wise, I feel like these are quite similar. similar. I think the L'Oreal one might be just a little bit more emollient, a little bit more creamy, but I really enjoy them both. I think they look really nice on the skin. As far as their wear time and how transfer proof they are, I can't really comment on that. I mean, I would say they have decent wear time, but I haven't tried these underneath the mask, so I'm not quite sure how transfer proof these two are. But if you're looking for something quick, something from the drugstore, something easy, and also something not messy, if you're someone that doesn't like going onto the back of your hand or directly onto your brush with your liquid foundation, these are just really easy to swipe on and blend out. I do want to mention one note of caution though. If you use too much of these, I do find that they can settle into like my smile lines and my fine lines pretty heavily, so I have to be careful with not applying too much, but as long as you get the amount right, which might take a couple of times to figure that out, but once you get it down, I don't find that to be an issue with these. I do believe this one is quite a bit cheaper. It also has 0.42 ounces, whereas this one has 0.32 ounces, so it does have more product as well. Let me just give them a swatch on the back of my hand for you guys so you can see how the colors compare to each other. So here is the Wet n Wild in the shade Soft Ivory, and then here is the L'Oreal in the shade Sand. There it is. Right there. So I don't know if you can tell from the swatch, but it does look like this one has a little bit, it glistens a little bit more. It does have more of a kind of creamy emollient finish, whereas this one is a little bit more of like a soft matte or satin finish. But together, I really love the finish these two give, and I guess my recommendation would not necessarily be go out and buy these two, but maybe if you have two stick foundations, like maybe if you have one of these or even another stick foundation that you didn't like the finish of or the formula of, try combining it with another foundation to see if you like it a little bit better, because I do think that I like these together more than I like them separately. Last foundation I have really been loving lately. This is an old favorite. I've mentioned this, I think like 2.5 years ago, this made an appearance in a favorites video. I think it's made a few appearances since, and it is the Milani Conceal and Perfect Foundation. This is an old staple for me. I love it. It's affordable. They have a pretty good shade range. I have the shade 03. I also have the shade 01 Vanilla. That one is a little bit too light for me right now, but I imagine we're about getting to that point where that one's going to match me a little bit better soon. Love the finish of this one. If you have dry skin, you like something that has good solid coverage and that's pretty long wearing, this is a really good one. I wouldn't say that this one's transfer proof, but it is long wearing. So once again, this combination right here is a great combination. The L'Oreal really does give pretty much anything you combine it with a little bit more transfer resistance, and because this one is already a long wearing foundation, when I combine these two together, it does a really good job of keeping my foundation off of my mask. Now, nothing's gonna work, again, I've said this 3 times, nothing's going to work as great or be as transfer proof as this thing on its own, but if you found this to be a little bit drying, which on my dry skin, I do find this one alone can be a little bit drying on me, which is why I really love mixing it with other things. I've actually finally gotten down to the very end of this bottle. In fact, I went to use it today, and it took me about 3 pumps to get product out because I'm really scraping the bottom of this one here. I do not repurchase foundations very often, you guys. Like, very, very rarely, but this is one that I will be repurchasing very, very soon, which that's kind of a big deal to me. I feel very proud of that fact because I've got a lot of foundations. I don't tend to wear a ton when I do wear foundation because I don't like my foundation to be very heavy, so it takes me a long time to use up a product. So the fact that I've used this thing up, while not surprising considering how much I've been mixing this with other things lately, it does make me kind of proud. So one more quick thing to mention with the Conceal and Perfect foundation. This foundation is very versatile in the ways that I can apply it. It works great with a sponge, with a brush, or with my fingers. I do find this one to be a little extra messy when I use my hands to apply it because it is so thick and rich. I find my hands get really, really dirty, which is pretty minor because if you're using your hands to apply your foundation, obviously they're going to get dirty no matter what. You're going to need to wash them. So that's just a minor detail, but really, no matter what your preferred form of application is, this foundation will work that way. And with that, that is it for all the foundations that I've especially been loving lately. These are the ones that I tend to reach for the most. They work really well considering these unique circumstances that we're in, having to wear masks everywhere we go. It's something that I definitely think about in a different way than I used to back in the day when we didn't have to worry about that kind of thing. I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. I would love now to hear from you guys, your thoughts on any of these foundations, or if you guys have suggestions for foundations that you find work really well underneath the mask that are very transfer proof, please leave those down below because I'm not one that ever really looked for long wearing foundations or transfer resistant foundations until right now. So I would love your guys' feedback. But that is it for today. Hope that this video was helpful for you guys. I want to remind you, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, be sure to do that before you leave. I have a lot of fun videos coming up as the holiday season gets closer. You definitely don't want to miss out on that, so be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye. Ugh, Mandy. Also on my lips today, Petal Pusher, one of the best liquid lipsticks in the history of the world. It's like a burgundy red Christmas plum. So pretty. Actually makes my liney lips look attractive. It's not something that I can say about every liquid lipstick out there.